Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Nebros and we're back with another video, this time looking at Ruri Ohama. It's been a while since I've seen one of her videos. This is her new one, dropped 43 minutes ago, literally. Why everyone seems to have more money than you? Well, Ruri, the first thing is everyone has more money than me because they literally do have more money than me. I have like 15 ZAR in my account right now. 15 ZAR to USD, that's like 85 cents. So yeah, the reason everyone appears to have more money than me is because they quite literally do. I've never even earned minimum wage before. I've worked for almost 20 years in customer service and retail, and never once was I ever paid anything as high as minimum wage. But so we'll see what Ruri has to say. Before we get into it, comment, like, subscribe, because otherwise you're not an engaged viewer and your view doesn't count apparently. Um, and yeah, let's get into it.
When you open social media, it feels like everyone is a millionaire. You see 22-year-olds in Lamborghinis, creators talking about making 100K in a week, and suddenly your life feels small. You start wondering, am I behind? But I'm not here to
Well, I'm pushing 40 and I still live with my parents, and as I said, I've never earned anything as high as minimum wage. So yeah, I'm behind. I know it's not a race or a competition, but generally speaking, I'm behind. The fact that I never really had opportunities and all the resources most of these socialites who earn 100K a year and whatever or a month or whatever they earn, I never had their resources and opportunities. So yeah.
tell you you're doing amazing just the way you are. And I'm also not here to tell you you're failing. Because on this channel, we keep it real and analytical. So let's figure out if you're actually behind or if
I'm pretty
social
sure I'm
media
behind,
just
Ruri. Yeah.
distorted your perception of wealth. And if you are behind, I'll tell
By 33, my dad was living in his own place that he was paying for, had 3 kids, or maybe 4, I'm not sure, um, and had his own car, was doing his job, paying school fees, Gordon Ramsay at 33 had got his first Michelin star. He had his third child, and yeah, he was doing super well. These are maybe not the best benchmarks to compare oneself to, but you can see where I'm going. Then being at almost 40 years old and still living with my parents, without whom I would be living on the street. Um, yeah, I definitely feel like I'm
you
behind.
what to do about it. I basically read dozens of finance books, and more importantly,
I can't afford books.
I've actually gotten real advice from my multimillionaire friends who actually have the money they claim to have. So
I knew a couple of people like that, and they didn't know how to help me because they've never been in the situation I'm in currently. They don't know how to build up from absolutely nothing.
let's get started. First, let's talk about the actual data. And honestly, this might sting a little because the median salary for someone else in their 20s is actually around $40,000 a year in US. But
Okay, what's that in ZAR? Uh, no, I need to go to this one. $40,000 a year, 700,000 Rand a year. That's about divided by 12. That's about 50,000 a month.
your late 20s and early 20s, it
50,
jumps to
yeah.
about $59,000. In your late 30s and early 40s, it's about 70K. But here's what really matters, which is median savings by age. And you can see it on the screen. When it comes to investments, for 40% of Americans under 30 have literally nothing invested, like $0. So if you
Yeah, because probably all going to stuff like student debt and stuff like that.
have a 3-month emergency fund, you are basically ahead of 57% of Americans who couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency. And if you have even $1,000 invested, you're actually doing better than almost half of your generation. Now look, if you're struggling to pay rent or buy groceries, you are behind, and that's actually real. I'm not like here to gaslight you that you're doing good, okay? Some people are genuinely struggling financially and need to focus on increasing their income first. But if you have a job, maybe $5,000 saved, even in a small investment account, and still feel broke because everyone on Instagram seems to be buying Lamborghinis at 25,
I don't trust those videos because probably just like rented. I know Jack Doherty rented his a couple McLarens to the point where, and then crashed them to the point where he can't get rents anymore.
That's actually not a money problem. That's more of a perception problem. Here's what
Yeah,
basically social media did to our brains. It completely normalized being a millionaire. Because like think about it, 10 years ago, becoming a millionaire was an extraordinary achievement that took decades of work. Now,
yep,
it's thrown around so casually, like on every platform, that millionaire has become basically the new middle class online. You know, we even see
yeah.
billionaires on social media. And the issue is that algorithms don't show you the average because they feed you extremes. Because people engage with the extremes and the algorithm pushes the extraordinary until it becomes your new normal. Let me give you actual perspective on wealth for people our age. To be in the top 1% earners in your late 20s, you actually need to make around like $170,000. And in your early 30s, it's
I
about
suppose that's annual.
$210,000. And the reality check is that only 7% of 30-year-olds earn 100K or more per year. Like 7%. Yet somehow, everyone on your feed in their 20s is claiming they are making millions. Now you might be thinking, but Rudy, aren't you also young and making good money? Yes, but
Yeah, but you worked your butt off for it, and I know why.
here's the thing. I have 1.4 million subscribers and I've been doing YouTube like since 2016. I'm not making millions despite all the years. Yet every day I see people claiming they hit 7 figures in 6 months just like starting this questionable business. And as
Yeah, I see a lot of like do this thing, and it's there was one go to YouTube in the like free to use content section or whatever, and then you download that video, post it to Rumble, and get paid for per million views and stuff, and it's uh, so it sounds to me like you're stealing somebody's work then if you do that, you know. And in any case, then I ran the numbers, and it's like it pays peanuts. It's actually not worth the effort. You got to be uploading like 10 videos a day and for like 6 months or something. And I think you'll run out of content before that happens. But yeah, like I see a bunch of like side hustles, or this is the fastest way to make money, and like almost it almost never works, or it's a gimmick to scam people into buying a course that's gonna do and teach them absolutely nothing.
an insider of like social media creator, let me tell you what's actually happening inside, okay? The luxury lifestyle you see online is almost always smoke and mirrors. When you
Yep.
see someone posting from a Lamborghini, it's usually a 2-day rental
Yep.
specifically for content creation, okay? And let's say they're filming at an penthouse, right? They're claiming that's their home. That's usually an
And so what do you suppose the deposit on your 2-day rental Lamborghini and penthouse is going to be, you know? So it's not like these people don't have money. I'm fairly certain, but I don't. It's not the sort of wealth that they don't have the sort of wealth they're like portraying.
Airbnb. And when people post private jet photos, usually it's like $500 to sit on a grounded plane for a photo shoot so that they can seem rich. And if someone
Yeah.
like pops up claiming making millions but you've never heard of them, just do a quick research, okay? If there's no real business
I don't
about
care that
them,
much,
no
yeah.
credibility, no history, no any like traces of their business, then they're probably lying. And the
Yeah.
crazy thing is that fake it till you make it actually works on social media, right? Because once you look rich, people buy your course on how to get rich, which is
Yeah.
basically an ultimate how to get rich scheme. And it just creates this wealth illusion. And this is how social media has completely rewired what we think is
Yeah, and it almost never works. I've never actually I'm not going to pay some yuppie to like teach me how to become rich when he's got to rent stuff, you know. And in most cases, if I could actually afford what they're charging, I probably wouldn't need their help in the first place, you know. I looked into a thing couple years back and was like, oh, for $25,000 I can teach you how to do this. Like, bitch, if I had $25,000 disposable income, I wouldn't need your help, right? $25,000 to drop on anything is absolutely ridiculous. Let's go back to my numbers. What is $25,000? 442,822 Rand 50. If I had 450k to drop on anything, I wouldn't need anyone to teach me how to make money. Let's get that right. There's almost half a million Rand there to drop on a stupid course that's probably going to. You can see where I'm going. I'm gonna get into a tangent if I keep going. But yeah, in most cases, when it's like Andrew Tate's thing, the real world thing or whatever. Oh, drop $500, I think was or it was $50. You know, if I could afford $50, I well, I might still need it. 885 Rand doesn't go very far, but like if I could afford $50, I probably wouldn't waste it on your shit. You know, I'd actually be more inclined to buy something she's
It's
offering,
normal. We let algorithms
and not
convince
just
us
because I
that
think she's cute.
extraordinary is average, that everyone except us is winning. When in reality, most of what we're seeing isn't even real on social
Me.
media. Of course, there are some billionaires, there are millionaires on social media, but most of them are fake. But here's what's even crazier. Even the people who are making real money, lots of money that they're claiming, aren't actually that much ahead, because they might be rich, but most of them are not wealthy. And there's actually a huge difference between of them. About 20% of households earning more than 150k in the US are actually living paycheck to paycheck. Like, think about that. 1 in 5 families making 3 times the median income can't survive a.
So wait, 100,000 US dollars is 1.7 million Rand. Okay. So now if I just work this out, you're not going to see the calculator because it's on the wrong source. 177129. Oh, units, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000. Oh, that's right. That's 100,000. And 0. So 1771290 divided by 12. That's that's almost 150,000 Rand a month. So 100,000 divided by 12. That's just over $8,000 a month. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around the difference, but like 150k a month, I could live a swell life on that.
A month without their next paycheck. And more than half of Americans making at least 6 figures per year are living paycheck to paycheck too. It might sound
That's
crazy that
yeah.
some people are making over 6 figures but they're living paycheck to paycheck, but I actually completely understand them, because I was also one of them till recently. When I first moved to Dubai and started making serious money, the interesting thing that happened was that if I would make, let's say, 15k a month, I would spend 15k a month. Let's say I would make a 20k a month, then magically my lifestyle expenses matched to that. And let's say I made a 30k a month, I thought if I would make 30k a month, I will be able to save so much money, but I was spending every single penny. And despite being in the top 0.1% of earners of my age group, I was living paycheck to paycheck until like last year, like $30,000 a month, more than most people make in a year. And
yeah, so I have this plan. If I can ever get myself to a point where I'm earning at least a net of 15,000 Rand, I would keep 5,000. 5,000 goes to help with family expenses and whatnot, because I still live here rent free, so I should help with that. And then 5,000 goes to me, but I stop spending at 2.5, or after I've spent like 2,000, 2,500, maybe even 3,000. The idea is to never zero your account. You never want to empty the account. So the next month, when the next paycheck comes in, and I put that 5,000 into the free spend account, I've got 7,000. So then I stop spending at, say, I spend maybe 3,000 and keep 4,000. That way I've got at least something that is on hand should I need to. Well, I mean, I cut my finger in May of 2022, I think it was, or 2023, and it cost a 3,000 Rand upfront payment just to get it seen there. There I'm bleeding on the flippin' counter, right? My fingers, the top of my finger is almost a flappy thing on the end of my finger, and they want 3,000 Rand before they'll see to it, right? So the idea is, yeah, you never zero the account, you just keep money in there for that sort of thing. And that way you got your, in my case, the extra five that would go to, apart from the free spend and family, that five that I'm putting away is for things like my degree course, a new laptop, that sort of thing. It's investments to stuff that'll help me achieve my goals.
I had nothing saved, nothing invested, zero financial security, and my job is social media. It's very fluctuating. How does this even happen? It's basically called a lifestyle creep, and I thought I will never struggle with that. The thing about it is that it starts small, okay? You upgrade your apartment because you deserve it, and then you need a furniture to match the apartment. And then you think like, you can't be seen in a Honda when you live in that building, so you upgrade the car too. Your friends are flying business class, so economy feels kind of like a failure. Suddenly everyone around you is wearing designer clothes, eating at restaurants where dinner costs like $300 per person, and taking weekend trips to different countries and stuff like that just becomes your new normal. And living in Dubai accelerated this to me because every day I would see Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Bentleys, and it became my new normal. Like when everyone...
I have friends, and one of them is from the Makazumi family, and they all live in Dubai, and they told me, you can't be poor living in Dubai. You need money to live there.
At brunch, pulls up in a supercar. Driving a Toyota feels like a statement of failure. I really, literally convinced myself that if I don't buy a Lamborghini as my first car, I thought I'm not even successful. But I don't...
Well, you could look at it as a case of financial failure if you're not buying a Lamborghini for your first car, or you can think my Toyota is economical and financially sensible.
I don't even have a driving license. And the trap is that I thought this pressure would motivate me. I told myself if I spend more, I'll be forced to earn more. And technically it actually worked. Like I did earn more, but my expenses always grew faster than my income. Like making $30,000 a month sounds like you made it, but when you're spending $30,000 a month, you're just high earning broke person. And the anxiety this creates is crushing too. Like
there's the difference between, so you're earning your $30,000 a month, you can meet your expenses, and you can live the lifestyle you want to, but there's nothing in savings, there's nothing put away, there's no security. This means that you are financially independent. You are not financially free. Because if you end up having to be hospitalized and it's going to cost you like 60K, you can't afford it, because guess what? You live paycheck to paycheck. Yes, you live a very good life, a life that many people would love to live, but you've got no security. So yeah, that's the difference between financial freedom and financial independence. This from a guy who never earned more than minimum wage, mind you.
You're making more money than 99.9% of people your age, but you just can't take a month off. You can't have a bad month. You always need to perform better than the last month. You're
because you have no
algorithm
security.
Change, one update, one failed launch away from not being able to pay your rent. The stress of maintaining an image worth of hundreds of dollars while having zero financial foundation, it was so exhausting.
I don't have that issue. I don't care what people think of my image. Obviously, I do go out of my way to try to look good and whatnot, but you know, if I'm poor, there's no way I'm even renting a Lamborghini. So you know what? You want to judge me for my Honda Civic hatchback car, or station wagon, or whatever, you go right ahead. It's got nothing to do with you anyway.
But I wasn't alone. Like, I know a lot of creators and entrepreneurs, and they're in the same boat too, okay? I know some friends making multiple six figures without any investments, without any savings, like $0. The moment social media gets banned, that person is done. Almost half of Americans have no credit card debt because of emergency expenses, but we are creating our emergencies by spending everything we earn. And here's why even Americans making more than 100K live paycheck to paycheck. So we just talked about how all these people who look rich are actually living paycheck to paycheck. If you want to avoid that trap and build real financial security instead, check out this free resource I found. It's basically a set of 7 financial planning templates, and what makes these templates useful, if you want to avoid that trap and build real financial security instead, check out this free resource I found. It's basically a set of 7 financial planning templates, and what makes these templates useful is that they show you your actual financial reality, not the Instagram version everyone else is showing. What I really like is that it's not just one basic like budget spreadsheet, but you get templates for tracking your personal finances and a spending allocation tool that automatically divides your income into categories, and even a financial projection template to actually plan ahead instead of just reacting to whatever happens in life. My personal favorite is the cash flow statement template because it visualizes exactly how money flows in and out of your accounts. This
I'm guessing that's not her real numbers.
huge because it helps you to maintain actual cash available, not just like credit limits. It's getting harder and harder for us to visualize where our money is going, especially with online payments. It's completely free to download. Link is in the description below. And thanks to HubSpot Media for sponsoring this portion of the video and providing this amazing resource for all of us. Now, people love to say rich people spend like they're poor, but actually that's nonsense, okay? Because actually, wealthy people do spend money. Like they buy 500k watches, collect calls.
Look, I saw a pair of shoes once that cost 6,000 Rand. That's what. Just get the, sorry, not there. Yep. 6,000 Rand, $338 per pair of shoes. I had a hard time spending, less than $100 on my Nike Air Force Ones. Check this out. I bought Nike Air Force Ones back in October 2018. I've only just retired them because I've worn actual ruts in the soles and they are not as comfortable as they used to be. But 1,500 Rand, that being call it $85, lasted me for, what, 8 years? No. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, 8 years. So I had a hard time spending 1,500 Rand on a pair of shoes that ended up lasting me 8 years. So to spend 6,000 on a pair of shoes, that better be the last pair of shoes I ever buy in my whole life. So the idea of spending, in the case of this video, $67,000 on a watch, it is unfathomable to me. Does not compute. What a waste of money.
But the difference is that first, they spend after building wealth, not instead of building wealth, okay? They have assets, investments, multiple income streams, and
they have
their
securities,
lifestyle is funded by their wealth, not their income. And second, they have financial education. They understand taxes, asset protection, diversification, and they also usually have teams of like accountants, advisors, lawyers, all that people. And they also think in decades, not days. And third, most keep their wealth actually private, not because they're modest, but because of wisdom, okay? Because flaunting the wealth makes you a target for scams, lawsuits, kidnapping, and robbery. Like, it's literally not safe. When you do see someone flaunting extreme wealth online, it's usually strategic, like they're selling something, building a brand, or there are new money trying to prove something, or they're fraud, basically. Social media basically programmed us to think in 30-second clips, not 30-year plans, and we're optimizing for how our life looks on Instagram today, not how our portfolio looks in a decade, because it's not sexy and you can show it to people, right? So not every rich person you see is wealthy. Just because they're spending money doesn't mean they're financially responsible. That's the biggest lesson that I've learned last year. But social media never shows you the 10-year view, right? It makes you compare yourself, what they have today, not what they will have in 10, 20 years from now. So how do we stop this toxic comparison game? We're all human. Even you know these things. We naturally tend to compare ourselves to our peers. For me personally, the biggest
I mean, I compared myself at 33 to Gordon Ramsay at 33. It's not exactly apples and oranges. It's not exactly comparing apples with apples, is it?
Shift that helped me actually get out of this toxic mindset of like always comparing myself to others was learning about the book called Zen and Japanese Culture. I'm half Japanese. And in the West, people tend to think black and white because it feels simple, it's easy, and it's certain. You're either rich or poor, you're successful or failing. Someone with money is either privileged and lucky, or they're scamming people. And if you're not making millions, you're either lazy or the system is rigged against you. But Eastern philosophy actually teaches something different.
In my case, the system is definitely rigged against me. Yes, I made some bad choices in the past, and some of it was out of my hands anyway, but the system here in South Africa is definitely weighted against me, and what a brilliant pause. I'm sorry, Ruri.
Like, think about yin and yang. Everything contains its opposite, right? Light contains darkness, strength contains weakness, and advantage contains actually disadvantage. Nothing is purely one thing. Like, after I actually reflected on this, I realized it's not really choosing between two extremes, like blowing every dollar on lifestyle or being frugal. You won't even buy a coffee and joy. Both extremes are actually prisons. Like, think about it. The person who spends everything is trapped by their lifestyle, but the person who saves everything is trapped by their fear. The spender can't stop working and the saver can't start living. Both are actually slaves to money, just in different ways. And the same applies to how we view other successes, right? The 22-year-old millionaire on your feed, maybe they did have rich parents, but maybe also they worked quite hard. Maybe they worked 100-hour weeks. Maybe they got lucky with timing, but maybe they also failed 50 times before succeeding. It's not either.
The difference is that between, say, the 22-year-old millionaire on my Facebook feed or Instagram feed who came maybe from rich parents and tried 50, 100 times and failed, he's had the resources to try. Myself, not so much.
Or it's usually both and. And what about you?
That doesn't stop me though. I've been working my ass off trying to get somewhere.
Like, maybe you are financially behind compared to some people, but maybe you are ahead in relationships, health, or happiness.
I'm definitely not.
Maybe you don't have generational wealth, but maybe you have skills they don't. We're all basically dealt with different cards, playing different games by different rules. Like, sitting around labeling people as frauds or privileged or lucky changes actually nothing about our situation. And beating ourselves up for not being where they are also changes nothing. Like, trying to pull others down doesn't lift you up.
It's like what was his name in Take the Lead? Pierre Dulaine. He said in that movie Take the Lead from the early 2000s, he said, quote, "To do something, anything, is hard. It's much easier to blame your mother, your father, the environment, the government, but even if you find a place to assign the blame, it doesn't make the problems go away." And that's pretty much applicable to everything. You can look at these. I mean, I've looked at Ruri myself and been like, if I had the resources she had, but it hasn't helped me get anywhere. So, and she probably looks at some of the others and be like, if I had that or whatever, it doesn't help her. So it doesn't help you. You just end up beating yourself up and making yourself envious, which can be a strong motivator and inspiration if you have the fortitude for it. But if all the motivation in the world in the swamp of stagnation, despite your effort, is not going to keep you going. So it's probably better not to look at that sort of stuff too often.
Comparing our chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20 is just keeping us also stuck. The only comparison that matters is you versus yesterday's you. The only game worth play is your own. Once I actually understood this, I stopped seeing money in absolutes. Like, I stopped thinking I need to either live like a monk or spend like a king, because it can be both, okay? And instead, I actually started to ask better questions. It's not necessarily am I behind, but more like, behind according to whom? Not necessarily how do I get rich, but what does rich mean to me? And asking myself, what do I...
For me, being able to finally leave home, have my own car, I would consider it a success to be financially independent, if not very wealthy. I don't need Elon Musk level money. I just need to be able to live comfortably, not have to worry about expenses like where my next meal's coming from. And if I need to go see the doctor and drop a 3,000 Rand deposit because I cut half my finger off, I can do that too, That's to me what success looks like right now. Maybe it'll change when I actually reach that point, but for now, that's good enough.
Actually need. Because when you think in this way, you stop thinking in black and white, but you actually finally see the full spectrum of options that are available to you. Like, what does money mean to you, right? You can spend on what matters and save for future. You can appreciate the other success and focus on your journey.
Yeah, so it's not a case of like, rich means I can buy that Lamborghini or something. Rich could just mean, you know what? I don't have to worry about anything. I'm okay. my family's sorted out. I can pay for my kids' school. I can put petrol in my car. We can go out maybe once or twice a month to a fancy restaurant. I've got enough money saved up for my end of year holiday, so I plan to spend New Year's in Tokyo. I can do that. You know, you don't need to be Elon Musk for that. You don't need to be Jeff Bezos for that.
It's not necessarily about being perfect, but it's about understanding that you can do both of them, okay? And it's about making conscious changes. It's about defining your success for yourself, instead of importing someone else's definition from social media. But knowing this philosophy is one thing, actually applying it to your daily financial decisions is another thing. That's where probably most of you get stuck. So
actually living it is hard, yeah.
Let's get practical, okay? Here's what I would do to break free from this comparison trap and actually feel financially free. First, we need to understand our priorities, okay? Not social media's priorities, but your priorities. This basically means sitting down and asking yourself the hard questions that you might be avoiding. What actually makes you happy? What do you value? What kind of life do you want in 5, 10, 20 years? For me, personally, I actually did weeks of journaling, and I calculated everything from what kind of home I wanted, where I wanted to live, and whether I want to have kids, and what kind of education they will get, and how much that will cost, and how often I want to travel, how many hours I wanted to work. And I calculated the money that I need, and it was actually way lower than I thought I would need to have for financial freedom. And second, we need to track.
Yeah, you can. If you're making 30,000 a month on the regular, you can probably already afford all of that.
Where our money actually goes, because most of us have no idea how much we're spending on things that don't align with our values, right? It became such a habit that we don't even realize it. Because, for example, we think we value experiences, but we end up spending on materialistic things. We say family matters most, but we're working 80 hours to afford a car that doesn't match with your budget. And third, we need to decide what to cut and what to keep. For example, I'm renting a 2-bedroom apartment in a nice neighborhood in Dubai, and I could live in a 1-bedroom apartment and save quite a lot of money. But I work from home and I don't go out often, okay? So my home environment directly impacts my work, and it's very important for me. So I'm not going to try to reduce expense on that because it matters. At the same time, I'm not that interested in fashion. Okay, I buy here and there nice clothes. That's it. I don't really care about the trends or the brands or season.
Yeah, but you always look fantastic.
Or whatever is going on. I buy what's comfortable, and I just like that outfit, and I just repeat it, wear it again and again and again and again. Is it social media proof? No, but I don't care.
Yeah,
because that's not my priority. I don't really value it that much. Fourth, we need financial education. Not just how to make money, but also how to keep it, grow it, and protect it. Because understanding investing, taxes, compound interest actually matters quite a lot. And build an emergency fund before any lifestyle upgrades, and try to think in terms of decades, not in days, when it comes to money, because usually compound interest takes a lot of time. It might be boring, but whatever investment that you do, time is usually the most important thing, right? And
the thing about compound interest is that it's very conditioned. It's contingent on the compound part. You can't just drop in, so let's say you get a windfall of money and you think, okay, I'll drop $10,000 into this investment account at a certain percent of compound interest, and then I'll make tons of money that way. You will after about 100 years, depending on the interest rate. Where compound interest really works is you're actually compounding what you put in. So the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. But if you can't actually put stuff in there, I wouldn't even then bother with a compound interest. Maybe once, maybe get it going and let it just add to it as often as you can, so you've got that level of security. But if you can't add to it very often, then I probably wouldn't bother. I don't know if that's a good financial decision, but I'm not in a position where I have to make it yet, so it's fine.
To be honest, sometimes it's not even a money issue. Sometimes we're financially behind because we are stuck in deeper patterns. For example, you might be avoiding difficult tasks. You maybe start with a lot of energy, but you don't follow through, or you keep switching strategies, or You constantly start from scratch. This is basically why I created my life alignment quiz, because I realized that most of us aren't just making money mistakes, but we are stuck in a life patterns that affect everything, including our finances. It's completely free, and basically the quiz takes like 2 minutes or something like that, and shows you exactly which pattern you're stuck in and what to do about it. Links in the description.
Thanks,
and finally,
Ruri.
I want you to remind that there is no single answer. Some of us will realize we actually do want to chase millions, and that's fine if it aligns with our values.
Yeah, so my dream, when I'm on my deathbed, I want to have a retinue of spoiled, rotten, rich grandkids. You know those rich kids who are absolute assholes to everybody because they're wealthy, or because they come from money. I want that because you know what? My family's been the doormat of people for like generations already. So I'm ready for my I'm ready for my family to be the ones walking on doormats. Obviously, I'll try to teach them better, but I think given what the rest of us have had to deal with over the last like 50 to 100 years, it's maybe not the worst idea to have asshole grandkids who come from money and treat everyone like crap because you know it's questionable, sure, but you can see where I'm going. I just want to create a legacy of wealth for my family so that like maybe in 100, 200, 300 years from now, the family still knows my name and they can say, hey, Nebros is the guy who got us all sorted. We wouldn't be here without him.
And maybe some of you will realize you've been chasing someone else's dream and you actually don't want that lavish lifestyle. You want something simple, and that's completely fine. The point isn't to judge where we are or where we want to be. The point is to make conscious choices based on our values, not algorithms, and to build a wealth that serves our life, not a life that serves our image. Because you might be behind or you might not be, but until you define what ahead means for you, we'll always feel like we're losing a race we never signed up for. So I think we need to stop running someone else's race. You might be behind or you might not be. First, you have to define what being ahead means for you and what wealth and money means for you. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Ruri. Yeah, she's right. We got to stop running other people's races and start running our own. But that's hard. That's super easy to say, but that's very hard to do. Society puts a lot of pressure on certain images and outcomes and whatnot, and yeah, it's hard to break out of that. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I always enjoy Ruri. Go check her out. She's based. Link to the original video will be down below. And I'm also going to include her links, the free links for her stuff. Check that out if you want to. I'll see you again in the next video. Audio, just one thing before I go, there's an issue with the audio and I can't narrow down what the problem is and whatever. It sounds, when I watch the videos back, it sounds like I'm recording a TV with a camcorder. My microphone seems fine, but the actual video that I'm reacting to doesn't, and I don't know what's wrong with it. So, yeah, until I narrow that down, that's just how it's going to be. So, with that being said, take care, everyone. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.